Down
think we
to
can do
iron
that.
we go. jaHNI versus Koopa.
Yep. This is the first of 2 iron games here. We'll look at some picks and bans here. jaHNI does not like Redwoods, apparently. They are not alone, obviously.
Has banned it every match so far.
All right. Consistency.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hide it. And look, if you are willing to ban something every time, you don't have to make a secret of it.
Yep. I mean, that's general. That was my strategy with Pub for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
The next ban, apparently, no sharks today anymore after that. Aquarium has been banned.
It's
Koopa.
like they saw the first match, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah,
no, thank you.
Yep. And jaHNI's restriction is Veranda.
I mean, it's one of the most banned venues consistently, so I'm not surprised.
And then the next restriction, this one from Koopa, Library.
All right.
And then the double pick from jaHNI, Terrace.
Ooh, so it's funny. Iron is almost all new people from last season, but last season's Iron played Terrace. I think it was something like 30% of all SCL Terrace games were in Iron or something like that. The only division that had more was like Challenger, which had more people because it's an overflow division. But overwhelmingly, Iron has been where Terrace games have been played. And wow, even though it's new players, they're carrying on the tradition.
Mm-hmm. And Koopa trying to be my best friend by doubling Courtyard. Doing a good job.
They wanted to make sure they got casted. Yeah,
yep.
That makes sense.
I mean, yeah, pretty much a guarantee if I see that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm recommending it. All right, and then interestingly, jaHNI picks Library as their single, so the restriction was a good thing, or maybe it was a calculated move. I don't know.
As usual, it's one thing, or it means the complete opposite, and we don't know which.
Yep, we don't know.
The story of SpyParty.
Anyway, the last, the final pick, this one from Koopa, Ballroom.
All right,
and here we go.
Yeah, stepping in to Terrace. This is a bit of an unusual map, but it's been calmed down a little bit this season compared to last. jaHNI starting things off on the spy side, Koopa on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
On Terrace is both the least banned and least picked venue.
Fun.
And those things are probably related. The fact that so few people pick it means so few people feel they have to ban it, and that's because with the setup here against a good snipers at least, I would say, like high-level snipers, it's almost always sniper wins, so it's usually just a split.
Not the fastest start from jaHNI. Just sort of hanging out in conversation with the ambassador, everyone at a respectable distance. And he's really just playing this slow, waiting to see where the seduction target's going to go after the statue.
And you can afford to. The flirting here is a lot like High Rise, which makes sense, right? The 3-5, 3-6 variants where you can do all soft tells maybe, or maybe one hard tell instead. That's kind of what you see, is that they're easy to get those flirts off in if you try even a little bit. Interestingly enough, though, only about 36% of Terrace games reach countdown, which does almost mirror the overall rate for all venues combined.
I mean, yes, in one sense, but also this is a venue, where it's a little bit more difficult to get your missions done on time. It's harder to beat the clock here, even though we did get a little bit of time added to it from last season, but I mean, we haven't had even a little bit of progress yet. We haven't even moved.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the third mission is almost always Purloin or Bug here, but here's an interesting distinction, by the way. Purloin is done more often than Bug, but in successful mission wins, Bug is usually the mission. So Bug
it's
works
a fake
better.
contact. I think we're just hard framing right now.
Yeah, we are. And for those who don't know, by the way, this is one of the venues where the sniper knows who the double agent is.
Yeah, and just goes for a shot on the was that a balcony shot? Was that a Wodar balcony shot?
I don't know, but the twin was next to the ambassador for quite a little while there in the beginning, so might have phantomed a bug and just been a little paranoid. But that was aggressive to say the least. I mean, 143. You're thinking the flirt is done. You're thinking I missed the bug too. That's very aggressive.
I think that was a shot purely for the white contact. I think that's what that was.
Well, at mid and lower levels, the AT rate is consistently lower than the higher ones, something like a 40 to 50% difference, right? 40 for the lower levels, 50 for the higher. And you occasionally get players who will hit it much less than that. So there are a lot of situations where that makes a lot of sense, but it's still very, very risky.
That is a bold play from jaHNI, and it worked out, and I love it. Let's see what he can do on the sniper side. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And again, the question for me is always, assuming you don't want a Softail finish, and you usually don't on Terrace, is it Bug or is it Purloin? Most people go for Purloin a little more often, but Bug tends to work a little more often.
Koopa's also on a relatively slow start. Does step away fairly early, though, to go for a briefcase. So there's an early fingerprint.
Yeah, but that's one of the two Softail ways you can finish here. The other one, of course, being Inspect. But you have to go to both sets of statues to finish, which is a big, big deal. You can't go in one visit because it's not a set of 3 like it is on so many other venues. And what are the odds, right, that someone, an AI, is not just going to go to statues twice, but to different statues each time?
That is very true. Stepping into the big conversation now, in convo with both the seduction target and the double agent, so lots to do here. First flirt comes off, a close white for 34%. But a few too many people out and about to warrant the... Never mind! The contact comes off! That's 4 lowlights available. I think only 2 are taken.
That's huge because 2 is perfectly fine and close to normal, I would say. I'd put the over-under just a little under 2, but 4 is way too many potentially. But if the sniper doesn't get him, that's all right.
Grabbing a delegate from the bar and a fingerprint to go with it. That's the fingerprint done. One more mission needed, and flirt is almost certainly going to be that mission.
Yeah, with the fingerprint done, that's what you're planning on doing here. The first fingerprint, maybe you're giving yourself options, but once you get the second one, you're basically trying to finish, especially when the last mission is flirt. And wow, now that's big because now a close white wins the game.
jaHNI needs to be on top of the fingerprint enough that he is willing to take a shot for one more talk.
Right.
That's his only path to victory here.
And that's really tough. I would say the next talk was actually probably more significant. Shooting for a second talk is way less likely than shooting for the next talk after the fingerprint is done. That's what would normally happen there, because how confident are you really that you didn't miss a flirt at any point before the fingerprint was done?
And the shot comes off, and it's not the correct one. Koopa answers back from the spy side. It's 1-1.
And not only was it wasn't someone talking during the banana bread, it was someone sipping a drink during the banana bread too, but talked afterwards. So by the time the sniper zoomed in to look, that's when Boots was talking. So I think it might have been the same thing. I think it's a shooting for the talk, but in this case, noticed it too late. They were actually sipping during it. Would have been probably a pretty safe low light, in fact.
Boots had a pretty nutty path with lots of bouncing upon the ambassador. I think that I feel like that's really hard to do for the spy. It probably should have been a low light, but I think they just suspected a bug was going on there.
You know, if someone wants to go all in on the talk during BB, I can't always blame them. Again, I think it's actually a little underrated. I think people discount it too much just because green tests are possible. But here's the thing. If that's what you're going to do, you got to be zoomed in on that conversation. You got to see who's sipping, and you got to see when people started talking. Because if we had in this case, we almost certainly would have low lit the person we ended up shooting.
It's 1-1 as jaHNI steps back into the spy side. Let's see if we take a little bit more of a conventional path now that we've scared Koopa a little bit. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mean, so last week we cast Gabriel versus Psycho Sloth, and Psycho Sloth was shooting constantly, and Gabriel just kind of dared them not to shoot, right? Oh, wow. We break etiquette living that early, by the way. So jaHNI has a similar situation here. You could say, okay, I want to dare you to hold your shot again. Or you could say something like, well, actually, if you're trying to counteract and make sure you don't make the same mistake, then I'm just going to go ahead and finish in your face. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and do the missions, let you know I'm doing the missions, right? Let you know that I'm doing the inspects, not try to hide it, not try to be subtle about it. Just go ahead and do the soft tell. Would I finish? Yes or no? And
Looked like he might have gotten flirt paired at bar there. 51% off the close green, but double highlights for both of the people who were there.
yeah, the highlight strategies on Terrace vary a lot more than other venues. You can do it for bar, you can do it for flirt pairing in specs, but that doesn't happen very often. What normally happens is highlight anyone who could do a real BB, like right there.
Contact comes off. Our seduction target not in conversation with the double agent, though. Gets re-highlight for the bar visit. Maybe it's just highlight for, maybe it's just bar tracking. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? The highlights decay over time. There's about a 1 minute delegate timer. So if you haven't seen a Purloin go off after a while, you can bump them back down, but sometimes they just go right back. And in this case, it's not for a flirt, but you're still glowing, whatever the reason.
Flirt done at this point. Leaves us with one mission left to do and a minute and a half to do it. No progress on the inspect, no progress on the fingerprint. It's going to be the bug on the way across! Was it seen? Wait, I thought he bugged there.
No, decided not to. It's strange to take the bug
It looked
path.
so much like a bug, I just assumed it happened.
Yeah, it's understandable, but decided not to do it. You probably could have at that point if you're not dead yet.
Fake contact to try to distract from the delegate. I don't even think he needed it. Koopa wasn't looking back there to begin with. And jaHNI, with a pretty nice spy game, except for the fake bug there.
Fake
Well,
bug.
they were holding a drink in the Amba side hand. It could have been they could have attempted to bug and just couldn't because of the drink, or it was just a coincidence that they decided to leave when the Amba came near. Hard to say.
I think what it was is I saw the mission win pending pop up during the path, and I'm just like, oh look, he's in the countdown. He did a bug.
Wow. All right.
Either way, on to the next one. Koopa this time on the spy side of things. jaHNI on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. That was a good spy game from jaHNI, though.
Just real simple, yeah. Get the safe missions done, don't do anything too outrageous, and then at the end, give them the standard 10 seconds to react. And it turns out you can get away with stuff even when the shark's not blocking you.
This is very true. Koopa in conversation with the double agent, but it's not a super filled up conversation. There's a lot of people out and about. So steps away, go pay the seduction target a visit, maybe get some flirting done. Bit of a distance though, so even though he's able to hit the green test, it's 49%, which is still in range for the 2 flirt, but not if you try to timer this.
Right, you can't timer 2 flirt now, but it's enough. It's enough to give us that chance. And on the Softail venues, where sometimes people could be done and you have to decide how likely they are to have flirted already, sometimes those 2 flirts can be very powerful.
Double agent drops in to say hi, but once again, just not enough people in conversation to make this worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely not. And you could tell from the spy side camera, by the way, looking at the bar, seeing who's getting that print, seeing who can be framed.
Now there's a lot of people in 3 lowlights possible, but everybody else in the entire party was in that one conversation.
I think it's ill-advised, though, because you know for a fact 2 people are going to bar here. Both of them are going to have potential fingerprints, and you know one of them's about to take that case. So Cowboy there has fingerprint done and has now been low-lit, and he's a hard low-light. I don't think you want to do that.
Either way, second flirt comes off up to 82%, so not able to get that 2 flirt anyways. Stepping back into conversation with the seduction target again, so looking to get that second mission completion. Here it comes, and there it goes. 2 missions down with 1:30 to play. Bug still available. Purloin still available. No progress on the other 2.
No progress on the other 2, but we've knocked out a couple of people, a couple of big potential suspects. We are otherwise, though, in the same position as the previous game with jaHNI, which is about 90 seconds, and you got to pick what harder mission you have to do after the 2 easy ones are done.
Timer ticking down. 1 minute to play. The bug into conversation. The wrong arm comes out for it, though.
Yep.
I don't think Koopa was ready for the ramifications of the path into that conversation. The arm winds up sticking all the way out, and jaHNI takes the shot for it.
Usually when we say wrong arm, we mean that the arm doesn't make sense in physical space if this were reality, right? You trick the game into having the wrong arm go out and it's hidden. In this case, we mean wrong arm as in that's not the arm you want, because that's the one with no cover from the sizable Taft, the ambassador. And if it were covered, that'd be a much tougher shot for jaHNI to take.
Well, in this case, we mean both of those things.
It's wrong arm in every sense.
It was just not correct, but jaHNI goes up 3-1, stepping into courtyard on the spy side. Koopa on the sniper looking to claw his way back into this. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We could say incorrect arm or inadvisable arm.
The inadvisable arm.
The inadvisable arm, yeah. The arm I wish I could take back. The regretful arm.
These are all great.
These are all great. It's happened to all of us. The courtyard is the second least banned venue in SCL and the most picked. You can thank mostly Challenger games for that. People like it there. And they like this high viewing angle.
Yeah, makes the purloin very easy to see. Finally, jaHNI gets in conversation with something to do. In this case, it's the seduction target. Getting ready for the first flirt, which is a white test for 34%.
Yeah, and you could see the difference in the outcomes. In Terrace, civilian shots outnumber mission wins for spy wins by 6%, but in this case, there's actually a slight edge for mission wins over civ shots, and that's because the sniper feels like they have a much better handle on the party.
Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of things that it's just hard to get by the sniper on this map in particular. Second flirt comes off. This one a close green, brings us up to 85. Sort of side-eyeing the double agent a little bit, but we'll see what happens. It's a fake.
In the red.
Lots of fakes tonight. That one could be a really powerful one because we're not in conversation with an SDA. One low light comes off for it.
One low light, 4 possible reels though, and Koopa has noticed and highlighted, I think, all the possible real BBers. So if we were trying to throw suspicion onto someone else at least, we've absolutely done it.
Yeah. Usually fakes are inadvisable because they give off a lot of information, but that one was absolutely top-notch.
Yep, you traded one low light for 4 people being watched that much closer.
Final flirt comes off. The problem here is we have one mission done and 1 minute and 10 seconds to play. Usually you've got the contact done and you've got the statues done right around this point, and you've got 1 minute left to figure out your hardtail. In this case, you might not even be able to finish missions.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like you're planning to. It looks like you're trying to frame someone. Maybe one of those highlights rejects a drink and you purloin and hope they don't see the fade. Maybe you time ad and you're not being watched because you're not one of those highlights. Whatever the plan is, you got to make up your mind soon. But I don't think you can finish at this point without a time ad, so I don't think you should try. You got to do something other than try to finish.
jaHNI's done this once before. I think maybe the play is to take a purloin and try to get someone else shot for it. It is going to be exactly that. It's the green purloin as we step away into statues. We might try to finish missions after all.
We're still going to need a real contact at the end of all this. That's another reject. We got a chain going.
Yeah. Just don't swap it. Please just, it's a swap! It's a swap! No, jaHNI! No! He doesn't know! He can't decide if it's a green or not! He got a perfect look at the fade. Does wind up taking the shot, though.
Wow. I panicked when he didn't immediately shoot. You're right. You could not ask for a better look there. Zoomed in just in time to see the fade, but I think maybe just so surprised by it. So surprised that one of their non-suspects that someone had just gone into statues and swapped right there. Almost like a double take, flashed onto hair for a second, flashed onto red dress rather, and regrouped just in time, actually used the whole mission win countdown to make the right choice.
Yeah. Wow. That was
close.
all right. Well, That was probably more dramatic than it had to be. 3 missions get completed within 3 seconds of each other to finish
Wow.
that game, but the shot does wind up coming off. And now it's Koopa on the spy side of things. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and there was no one at that statue before the spy, though. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't see the fade green or white. There's a bug attempt from Koopa immediately that does not take.
Bit of a shot to nothing there. If you can take it immediately and just hope for the best, sometimes in a time of chaos like that, you can slip one by. This doesn't work against every sniper. Some of them are on top of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you can get away with it, and it looks like Koopa has as he takes up his first flirt for 51%.
You do get away with bug a little more often. That's the one that tends to work. It's exactly the same thing as Terrace. Purloin happens more often, but bug is more frequently the mission that gets by the sniper for mission wins. It's not by much, mind you, but it's the same dynamic as Terrace in that regard. People resort to Purloin, but when they win, it's usually because they got a good bug.
Contact coming off at this
And in the
point.
red.
Couple of lowlights available, both get taken.
Wow, Koopa's zipping around.
He is indeed back in the conversation at selection target already. Ain't no time to talk to nobody, we don't have to. There's the flirt getting finished up, 2 missions done, still 2 minutes and 5 seconds to play. This is very fast.
Ain't no time to talk to nobody. Is that a blues song? Sounds like it is. It's all children's books and blues songs tonight.
Stepping into statues now. Picking up a fingerprint off of it as well. This could be huge if we're able to find another one after it.
It's impossible for us to know if this was a deliberate print, but even if it's not, this is where the spy goes, ooh, okay, this opens things up a little bit now.
Doesn't take the second inspect. I think Baby didn't realize it was printable.
Yeah, I wasn't
and
expecting it. Yeah, but
thought he got 2 inspects, wound up with an inspect and a print instead.
And realized they were going to 3-cycle. And, if that's your choice, once you're in that position, yeah, you can't risk it. That would throw the game away.
But now we can just sort of stare down the ambassador, wait to see what he does, and wait to see what he touches.
Well, a cast member is picking up the briefcase in the meantime, and we're going to get that other inspect, but there's a difficult on here.
Difficult fingerprint. There's the
for the
inspect done. Can't hit the difficult.
That's tough. That's tough. But you're in a pretty good position. An AT for the win, a spy on courtyard, that's a good position to be in.
So I swear to God, something about the fact that it looks different makes difficult fingerprints harder than regular green tests.
Well, I mean, there's the aversion to the red test even when you know there's no cost. A little bit.
There's a fingerprint off the drink. Mission is complete. jaHNI is not on top of things. And Koopa finds himself a pretty little spy win on courtyard.
Wow. So Salmon, I think, right before us, rejected the drink that would have smudged the print. And drink prints are hard to catch anyway. They're probably the rarest. They're the easiest to miss for the sniper usually. But in this case, the Amba left too, and there was a reject afterwards. That's just brutal, right? That's really, really tough, and it's just a really solid spy win there.
Koopa delivered that game on a silver platter. As now he steps in to the sniper side to maybe take the lead. jaHNI on the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Toby says, I can be just like the shark. I can help the spy too.
jaHNI opens the game up at statues.
You don't see that often because, again, you don't want to do things after you get a highlight. And while not everyone highlights for statues all the time, on courtyard in particular, it just makes so much sense that almost everyone does it. I mean, honestly, the only benefit is that spies obviously don't like to do it, so you hope you get a little credit for that. But most snipers are still just going to play it straight, right? You're not going to remember, I highlight this person at the beginning.
Green flirt, nice and close, gets us 51% as well. We might just timer flirt this because we've gotten a lot of progress very quickly. We have a little bit of time to take.
Yeah, because the inspects are already done, so that helps a little bit. And when you green that first flirt, it's really tempting if they don't leave to just take your one crack at finishing it right then and there.
And it looks like he is going to just hang out, wait for that timer flirt, see if he can hit it in 2. Double agent on the other end of the map next to the ambassador, so we'll see what comes of that.
Yep. Few more
once
seconds.
This flirt comes off.
Yep, a few more seconds away from that cooldown. There it is.
There's the cooldown indeed. There's the flirt, and there's the green test. It's done in 2. Minute and 40 seconds left. We don't have the contact yet, though, but the double agent comes right to us.
Oh, and it's a good one, too. Smallman leaves, but that's it. You will absolutely take that. But the SDA is out. We're one of just a few people if the sniper notices.
It's 1 of 3. That could be huge. We still need a hard tell as well.
However, there's nothing on Koopa's side that suggests they definitely noticed. There's nothing on Koopa's side suggesting they noticed yet. They might have, but there was a bit of movement right beforehand, and the sniper is shaking their camera.
Yeah, unless the Prince gets a highlight, I think it's pretty clear that jaHNI is in a fairly commanding position, but he still needs to find a hard tell, and that isn't easy no matter what situation you're in.
We're now one of 4 people who've completed inspects in the sniper's mind, and that's a pretty good pool. Sniper has to watch all of them now for purloin, bug, whatever.
jaHNI does not have any Prince under his belt with 40 seconds to play. The bug comes across, going along the side. It doesn't take, though.
Nope, it
could have been so good. It was perfectly perpendicular to the sniper. He takes the shot for it anyways. I don't think he felt good about it, but the shot does come off for a bug that doesn't take, and that puts Koopa in the lead.
Wow. And I wasn't sure if a shot was going to come off because it came off about 8 seconds afterwards, and that's in the danger zone where you could be shooting late enough that it's not going to take in time if there's any kind of latency. But I think that's just a reflection of the fact that they didn't get a really good look at it, obviously, suspected enough to shoot, but you don't want to shoot that if you don't have to. The arm was mostly pretty well hidden. That's the right wrong arm bug. That's the non-regretful bug for the most part. It didn't take, but the reason it didn't take is because it wasn't very visible too. So that's the line you're trying to walk as Spy right there.
All right. Koopa finds himself in the lead, I believe, for the first time this match, up 4-3 and on the Spy side. But if you're going to be on the Spy side, Courtyard is not the place you want to be there. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, it's been very swingy so far in this match, but one thing we've seen is that in particular, there are plenty of Spy wins at middling divisions. So no one really has a commanding lead. Just because they're on the Spy side doesn't matter. Spies win all sorts of crazy games.
In conversation with the ambassador, in range for an in-convo bug, Twitch is in, gets the bug. jaHNI's got some reaction there, but
it's hard to say.
No shot as of yet.
The hand snapped back, but it was so quick, and it comes in the wake of the ambassador's movement, so it's not as obvious. The sniper was moving back and forth, and that might have made the movement of the arm a little harder to see.
I'm surprised he didn't just go for the in-convo bug, to be honest.
Well, it ended up working out pretty well. I think a quarter second earlier, and it would have been borderline invisible. In this case, the sniper would have had to have been looking right as the ambassador left in order to be able to see that hand snap back.
First flirt comes off, 51%. I think Koopa, it's hard to tell based on jaHNI's reaction, but this is either as good as done or Koopa's in a commanding position.
I think Koopa's in pretty good shape from the looks of things. I think they probably got away with that bug.
Especially seeing what the laser's been doing after the fact, it doesn't look like jaHNI's on top of this.
The BB will be the real test, though, because that's the first point at which they could conceivably be done, even if they haven't inspected, usually you're going to wait for both, but in this case, if you're pretty sure you saw the bug, you don't need too much more.
Back in conversation with the seduction target once more, should be in range of the 2 flirt, and does hit the 2 flirt. So that's the second mission done with 1 minute and 20 left to play. We don't have statues yet, we don't have the contact yet, but we do have the hard tell, and that could mean everything. Yep. This is a scary contact, though.
It is a little bit, and it's going to be even scarier when we go into statues afterwards, which I think we're going to have to.
Conversation starting to fill up a little bit, makes it a little bit better.
That's
but
very
there were
good.
2 people in conversation with the SDA as well. I think Koopa has this.
And no lowlights. Those are the 2 things. Obviously, you want as many reels as possible, but absent that, 0 lowlights, especially if someone's not going to assume reel. Wow.
Stepping into statues. Yeah, no reaction from jaHNI here. Koopa has this game. Hook, line, and sinker. There's nothing left for jaHNI to play for. We're in the countdown. And he gets a highlight. And that's the first time I think he was really noticed that entire game.
Yeah, pretty much. I would love to see that bug again because you could see the arm does snap back at the very end. Yep. And you could see it behind the ambassador too, but you have to be looking for it. And here's the thing, the ambassador's about to leave, which means they've been standing there for about 10 seconds. That's the point at which a sniper might say, okay, well, if they were going to bug, they would have bugged. Because spies hate doing it right before the ambassador leaves, because if you don't time it right, they reveal your arm as they leave. And that's actually what happened here a little bit. But that does mean that sometimes snipers let their guard down at the very end before the ambassador leaves. I think that might have been what happened here.
I think so. It certainly worked out for Koopa, who is now up 5-3, stepping in to the library. jaHNI on the spy, Koopa on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And library is one of those things where at high levels, you see snipers win an awful lot, but at lower levels, they still get overwhelmed. That's the big difference. The big venues are where good snipers win almost all the time, but intermediate snipers can get overwhelmed when they're tracking all those things. Modern in particular, but less so now that it's 4 of 8, but library, veranda, still 5 of 8. There's just so much to look at, and it really takes time and discipline to get good at it.
Bit of an awkward start from jaHNI, but eventually finds his way to the green bookcase. We'll see what he does with this. Not much early on. Just puts it away. Might be eyeing up a bug here. Camera swings. jaHNI looked like he wanted it, but as the camera swung back, jaHNI turns around and heads over towards the double agent in one of the biggest conversations I've ever seen.
This would be a really good banana bread if we take it right away. Oh, SDA's out. That's going to make it a lot worse, but it's still pretty darn good for library.
There's still a big conversation with an SDA in there.
Oh, this is such a good banana bread. Oh,
and immediately everyone starts moving.
That's even better. Now you're all worried about splits and you're not sure how many people have a reel. That could not have gone much better. That is really good for jaHNI.
Yeah, that was huge. Into the yellow bookcase now and stepping away with the yellow book. This is the standard play. Start out one bookcase, go past the middle one to that next conversation, and then drop it back in the middle.
Yeah, this book probably not going into yellow. Most microfilms on library, this is not going to surprise anyone, are transferring one book from one shelf to another as opposed to removing the microfilm with the animation.
It's going in blue, it looks like. And Koopa isn't on top of it, so that's a second mission done, but we've spent a lot of time doing this. Only 2 minutes and 20 left on the clock. And this is going to be our first flirt of the game as well. It's not even that close. It's a white test that gives us only 20%.
And there's no indication we're a suspect for this microfilm. And that is normally what people do. It's usually bug and microfilm in addition to the 3 softels.
Well, the microfilm's done. We're yet to see the bug. Under 2 minutes to play now as we step into center statue and get highlight for it.
Center statue is a different proposition for newer spies because you need to hit those green tests occasionally. You need to hit usually at least one, depending on the character, to be able to go in 2 cycles without 3 cycling it. They do here, but if your AT rate is, say, like in the 30s or something instead of even the 40s, it can be a big risk to try to finish in one go.
Oh, we got safety off on jaHNI for a second. I think he might have been at that statue a little bit too long.
Well, whatever it is, we're done with one hardtail. And normally, if you were just a big suspect for having done a microfilm on another venue, that'd be an okay trade. But on library, you've got to find another less typical mission. And if you're already top suspect, that's going to be tough.
Second flirt was a green this time, brings us up to 68%, and we are back on track for the 3 flirt, but we're back into another statue as well. So I think this is jaHNI just trying to lose a little bit of heat, because why would a spy go back to statue after just having been to center?
We say lose a little bit of heat, but the laser is stuck on the back of Queen's neck, so I don't think it's working this
The
time.
laser's literally burning a hole in her hat.
You're getting a very small circular sunburn on the back of your neck right now, Queen. I don't think it's losing heat. I think you can feel the heat, literally.
35 seconds. 2 missions to go. Highest suspect at the entire party at this point. I don't think this is doable.
No, I don't think so.
Especially because everyone you just wanted to do missions with bailed.
And this is not the time ad window. Oh, and we spent so little time in that pad.
Can't time ad there.
There's only one pad in the back that you can time ad from. This isn't it either, but we are going to BB.
Fake contact going off, but it's after 10 seconds. I'm pretty sure this is game. Immediately bails out afterwards. Koopa just takes the shot. No reason to delay it any longer. That was a great start from jaHNI, but all went downhill after the
statue visit. Yeah.
Statue visit, yeah.
Yeah, take a little too long. That's all it takes sometimes. You know, it can narrow down in a hurry. The beginning of the library games are so wide open, but they narrow a lot when the sniper's on their game by the end.
All right. Well, that puts Koopa at match point. It's 6-3. He's got 3 games to find one. And jaHNI has to win 3 straight in order to tie this match up and get that 1 point to the standings. He is starting things off on the sniper side, but also it's library in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and it's a tough game for Koopa, too. Spies generally, especially at, again, intermediate and lower levels, have a lot of trouble reaching mission win countdown on these bigger venues. In all library games combined, countdown is reached less than 30% of the time by spies.
First flirt comes off at just a bit too much of a distance. It's 31%, which means we are indeed going to have to find a green test in one of the next 2 flirts if we're going to 3 flirt this.
Well, they were green flirting left and right on courtyard combined, so no big trouble there, maybe.
That's true. There's been a lot of green flirts this match.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about whether or not those terrace games were banking on whites, but if they were, I think the courtyard game showed us that that's not a good proposition for either of these players.
Indeed. Offered a drink. We might try some purloin shenaniganry early, but no. Just takes the drink, takes the fingerprint. We're going to be happy with that.
Yeah, purloin is done almost as often as bug on library games overall. Over 40% of the time it comes off.
That was a very wide path into conversation, but wanted to avoid the ambassador as much as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to be. So that's something else, too. Against, like, the absolute elite snipers, you kind of want to take a path by the ambo without bugging because you're confident they're going to know you didn't and they'll actually suspect you less. But I think against anyone else, you don't even want to be close unless you're actually trying to bug. You don't want to be mistaken for a bug. It'll happen all the time.
And unless you're at the really high levels, no one's going to shoot you for taking a wide path.
That's right. Yes, better safe than sorry. But that was one of the most illuminating moments I ever had, by the way, as an intermediate player. I was playing KCM, and I avoided the ambassador because I didn't want to seem like I was bugging, and he shot me for avoiding them. And that really opened my mind to the meta of this game.
This has been an incredibly slow start. We still haven't gotten another flirt. We're still at 31%. We still just have that 1 fingerprint, and that's all the progress we have with 2 minutes and 40 left to play. Now we're stepping in for the second flirt. It is a green, but she steps away before it finishes. This is a bad, bad situation for Koopa.
Well, what'd I say? Reaches countdown less than 30% of the time.
There's the bug coming into conversation, though. jaHNI, completely on the other end of the map, isn't going to even catch a whiff of it.
No, however, This ain't Courtyard, where you got away with the bug and the game was almost over potentially if you didn't mess it up. At this point, you still have
Briefcase,
so many
though,
missions to
that's
do.
going to give us a fingerprint. So print's done, bug's done. We still only have 31% on the flirt, and that's a problem. But we're gonna need to move real fast, but this is doable.
Yeah, especially since one of the missions is contact. If we get one more flirt, suddenly we're in pretty good shape too.
Here's
There
the
it is.
contact. Everyone steps into conversation with us before this contact comes off, but the double agent does the opposite. Are you kidding me?
That's brutal. We actually would have been in okay shape there because you could inspect in one go and you're 2 flirts away with a minute 30 left, but that double agent leaving. Oh, and it's a slow character, by the way. Who knows when they're going to get back in holding that book? This is unraveling. It was already cutting it close, though.
And
Yeah.
that flirt, however, was white, which means we're only at 65%. 34 is the closest you can get on a close white.
Do the math, Tobo. Try not to get preemptively anxious, though.
And look at this! We're in center statues, but there's someone holding the other one, so we can't even finish inspect. We're a minute left. Koopa is doing everything in his power to finish missions, and the party is shutting him down at every turn.
Well, this is what happens when you idle in the beginning, though. Now, suddenly, you need the party to cooperate, because now you've only given yourself 1 or 2 chances at doing all these things that are usually easy to get done at some point in the game. But there is no some point. There's only the time left.
Back into statues. 3rd mission complete, but it doesn't matter. The shot comes off. And there was just nothing that went Koopa's way that game.
Yeah, although based on the fact that that shot came off so quick, it looks like even if the other things had taken, I think they would have been shot anyway, because it's not like they would have gotten to 5 missions and then 10 seconds pass, right? The statue got blocked, the double agent left, stuff like that. So I don't know if it cost them the game or not, as frustrating as it would have been, but that's the thing. It's easy to say, I'm going to be able to get a contact or a flirt when I want, but if you leave it till the end, you're at the mercy of 1 or 2 little AI decisions. And that's the risk you take by slow playing into a late finish. But good bug, though.
Got a really nice bug, but
Yeah, good bug.
Unfortunately, just wasn't able to make it happen in the rest of the game. jaHNI now on the spy side. 2 games to go for Koopa to seal the deal in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mean, if we get 1 more flirt at any point early in that library game, we're in much better shape.
Hello. Nope. Okay. It looked like he wanted that so bad.
Yeah, and this is more like Courtyard. If you get away with a bug on Ballroom, like real clean, you probably win.
Green flirt at the green bookcase for 51% to open the festivities. We'll see what he does with the book, but chances are it's just going back where he found it.
Bug and Purloin done about
No, it's a
often.
microfilm animation. It is a white test. Koopa's eyes were clearly elsewhere, though, as he goes to highlight somebody in the middle of that.
Microfilm is so rare on Ballroom relative to the other missions that, like Purloin and Bug in particular, even less than Swap as a matter of fact, that it's almost a counterplay to try it at all. It is the least completed mission on Ballroom, only a little less than Fingerprint, mind you, but Fingerprint isn't completed very often on most venues, so that's not too surprising. It's just you can see both bookshelves at once very easily, and that makes it really, really treacherous to try to get it past someone.
jaHNI playing this relatively slow after a fairly quick start. He's sort of hanging out in this conversation, rejecting drinks and chatting up the guests.
And it's brutal because you basically did a hardtail, with that white test animation, and the mission isn't even done yet. If anything, green can be a little easier because there's usually people covering in that conversation, but with blue, that's much less likely to be the case.
Under 2 minutes to play now. No mission completions as of yet. No fingerprint, no statues. We do have green film in pocket and half of a flirt, but that's all we've got done, as the timer rapidly ticking away. Now stepping into center statues at the side here in a desperate bid for mission progress. Does get highlight for it. That's 2 inspect. Should be able to get the third one before the statue finishes coming down. He does indeed. So that's our first mission completion with 1:10 to play. A bug attempt going opposite directions from the ambassador, and with a character as fast as Taft, that's never going to work, especially when you're playing as General.
Yeah, you need to be playing as a slow character at minimum. It's not going to work. Although General's walking bug's so good, often isn't even caught. So there's that at least.
Second flirt comes off just before the seduction target bails. This one was white for 85%, under 40 seconds to play. The contact comes off. It's another bug attempt. This one takes. I think we're going back in for the seduction. We are indeed. It was a bad catch up on one of the conversation circles, gets the last flirt, mission win countdown, no reaction from Koopa, and jaHNI, in the waning moments of his match, finds a way to push it to one more game.
It's split into bug, into idle into convo, into break etiquette and animation, into hard left turn with your seduction target, and all of it works. It's a rush of missions on Ballroom to stay alive, and now jaHNI can still score a point. We get that bug eventually, and that one looked a lot better than the one that didn't take. Wow, what a rush.
It wasn't pretty, but it happened in the middle of a low lighting spree. Koopa was otherwise indisposed as jaHNI was making his mess, and by the time Koopa was back at it, it was too late. One more game. Koopa on the spy playing for a win, jaHNI on the sniper for the draw in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yep, and you've just got a soldier on here. There's still a win within your grasp, and it's Ballroom, so a spy win, very plausible.
And the seduction target seems to want the best for us as he steps in right next to us early in the game for 51% on the first flirt.
It's that magnetism. All good spies have it.
And it looks like Koopa is just going to hang out, wait for the timer flirt. He knows he's got a little bit of time to play on this map. It's not a lot of time, but it's enough to, well, apparently section target's not going to help us that much, but that's fine. He's back into another conversation. There's a spot next to him.
I mean, sort of. There's not much of a spot, but Koopa says, yeah, that's enough.
85% after the second flirt, under 2.5 minutes to play at this point. I kind of wanted to see if we could hit a reverse drive-by bug there as the ambassador came around the back of the conversation, but it did not wind up happening. Now we join him in conversation for real, but he steps out a different direction. No bug has come off. We're not able to get the flirt done here. 2 minutes left to play, and no mission's done yet. It's going to have to be something soon.
Well, the drive-by bug is a little risky as Kane. As good as that walking Kane side bug can be, it's kind of made up for it by the fact that the lean is very pronounced in conversation.
In conversation with Double Agent, this would be our first mission completion. Lots of people in this conversation, but not too many in the others.
Banana bread.
There's the contact coming off. That lets off 2, I believe, lowlights, one of which being Smallman.
Green Purloin.
The green Purloin as we step away into center statue. So there's a lot going on right now.
Oh boy. The reject drink into center statues on Ballroom is
There's
such a
the
big
take.
deal.
Is jaHNI on it? It looks like he might be. The swap comes off as well. There's the shot. It was a green swap, so it hadn't happened yet. But was it a third cycle? I think it might have been a third cycle. I think you tried to hit a third inspect and accidentally swapped, went for the last inspect after the fact, wound up at the statue for too long.
Yep.
Johnny
Although
on
the
top
safety
of
was
it
already
manages
off before the third cycle
The
started.
purloin was noticed. Yeah, it was right after the purloin was noticed. So I think
Yeah.
the reject was just
Yeah.
caught, is all it is. Wow, what a save. jaHNI 5 goes to jaHNI 6, scores the point, and hey, nobody has to go home a loser at least, but what a roller coaster.
I don't know. Koopa might kind of be feeling like he came home a loser in that one.
Well, I don't know,
It
fell
was a
behind
great,
early, right?
great set, but he had so many moments that were so close.
Well,
And he
fell
just
behind
wasn't.
early. Yeah, then came roaring back, and then it ends up in a tie. So I think at both points, at different points, each player thought they probably were going to win this, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it goes. It's a pretty good time. I was just about to say, right when all this went down, you know, the Spy's going to have to do another rush of missions here at the end of Ballroom, just like the previous game, and that's exactly what happened. Just a different outcome this time.